We got breaking news in the NBA when it comes to cardiac. Kemba, he's heading to MSG, back to Madison Square Garden. The Bronx native, of course, spent most of his time with Boston the past few years. Traded to Oklahoma City, but now in agreeing with OKC for contract buyout, heading back to NY to join Derrick Rose and others there with the Knicks. Of course, just a few years removed from that big shot. More news, of course, from the ATL. John Collins agreed to a 5-year, $125 million deal that keeps the young big fella there, has a player option in the 5th year. When you look back to this postseason, a big part next to Trae Young, and the reason why they made it to the Eastern Conference Final, just fell a few games short of representing East, though. John Collins, of course, drafted back in 2017 out of Wake Forest, will be in ATL for quite some time when we talk those cornerstones in the ATL. All right, let's bring in our Avery Johnson to talk more about this breaking news, starting with John Collins here, locked up 5 years, $125 million. When you look back at last season, averaged just about 19 points, a big part of that postseason run. Your reaction to them keeping him there in Atlanta?
Well, you knew this was inevitable with John Collins, especially once they got Trae Young signed to his extension. These are two young stars and superstars and rising stars in the NBA. So this made all the sense in the world. You didn't want this to prolong. Collins is arguably one of the rising power forwards in all of the NBA. This kid's going to be a walking double-double, pick and roll, pick and pop guy. He can play above the rim. He's improved his jump shot. He's got such a high ceiling. He and Trae Young had some issues early in the season before they made the coaching change. In come Nate McMillan. They took off, ended up being, playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Really excited about the future of this team. You got your head coach locked up, Nate McMillan. You got your point guard locked up, Trae Young. And now John Collins, you got him locked up for 4 or 5 years. I think there's a player option in the 5th year.
You look at it, you just mentioned there your two key pieces, young pieces there, if we're looking into the future for the next 4 to 5 years. And look, the ATL is not a bad place to live. If you're looking at the Hawks' future of building maybe a team that can contend out of the East, how do they look so far to you, Coach?
They look strong. When you look at the competition, obviously Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Brooklyn's been injury prone, so you never know. Milwaukee, even though he was a defensive guy, they lost P.J. Tucker, who's had a lot to do with the toughness with their team. But here come the Hawks, rising team. They'll be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Gallinari, Bogdanovic were two really outstanding free agent signings last summer. They'll figure out if they're going to be able to re-sign Lou Williams, the 6th man off the bench or not, but really like the direction of this team. Clint Capella provides that size and shot blocking ability in the middle. So just a solid young team that's going to have a chance to compete for championships in the next 3 to 5 years.
I mean, they got to bring Lemon Pepper back. I mean, you got to have him back in the ATL. That's just the only right thing to do. But, of course, all jokes aside, outside of that, what are they missing here? You mentioned top 4. What gets them maybe into that 2 or 3 spot with one more piece maybe?
Well, it's not necessarily one more piece with this team. It's just experience. They had the experience last year. Obviously, Trae Young steps on the referee's foot, and he came up hobbled. But sure, you can always add a couple of veterans here and there. But I think this team has what it takes. They just need they just need continuity. I think that's the one thing. Continuity, keep building that chemistry. Trae Young's a superstar in the making. And so I think they have what it takes. Continue to build out your bench with maybe some veteran minimum guys that can come in and play a specific role for you. But I think they're on the right track.
All right, let's stay in the East here, of course. The Knicks planning to add Kemba Walker. Your thoughts of him going there to NY? It's been a long overdue because we thought he was going to be there before he was going to Boston. And then maybe after the OKC, now it's happening. Your reaction to him heading home?
Well, I think this is an exciting day for not only the Knicks fans, but Kemba Walker. He's been wanting to play in that Knicks uniform. Here's a kid that played the Big East. I remember seeing him with UConn hitting the game-winning shot in the Garden back in the Big East Conference Tournament Finals. So he's going to put on the show. I think this is going to be a resurgence for his career. I want to see him get back to playing like the Kemba Walker that was with the Charlotte Hornets, not the one that was with the Celtics that had to defer to other guys like Jason Tatum. But I want to see him get back to playing like the old Kemba Walker. He thinks if he's healthy, based on some of his comments, he can get back to an all-star caliber player.
How does that work with him? Of course, Derrick Rose locked up a few days ago with the Knicks, was there last season. Now you add Kemba to the mix. Maybe R.J. Barrett is too that can run point. How does that kind of mesh with Tom Thibodeau and his plan with the Knicks moving forward?
Yeah, well, Kemba Walker would be the starter. Derrick Rose would be the backup. And then sometimes those guys can play together. But whenever you got a guy like Kemba Walker, he's going to start. He'll handle the ball most of the time. R.J. Barrett will have some ball handling duties, but I think this really strengthens their position, the point guard position specifically. It gives them more experience. They have some other younger guys, Obi Toppin coming off the bench, and obviously Julius Randle had a breakout year last year. So the Knicks are trying to make sure that if they have an opportunity to make the playoffs again, they're not going to get knocked out in the first round. They're going to have more guys that can make plays, especially when their offense breaks down.
Yeah, their first time in the postseason in quite some time. And similar question here with the Hawks. When you look at the Knicks, have they done enough to maybe be a top 5 contender in the Eastern Conference for you, Coach?
I don't know if they've done enough because, again, you got the Hawks rising. I like what the Bulls have done in the offseason. The Knicks are going to have to figure out a way to generate some more offense. Their defense is solid, but they got to figure out a way to generate some more offense. And I think that's what this Kemba Walker signing was about. And so I don't know if they're going to be a top 4 team. They may take a little bit of a step back. And that also depends on what happens with Philadelphia. If they're able to move Ben Simmons, what are they going to get back for him? How healthy the Brooklyn Nets are. So just a lot of unanswered questions, but it is an exciting day for the New York Knicks, having an opportunity with Kemba Walker getting bought out with Oklahoma, and he's going to end up signing a 4-year contract with the Knicks.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference been busy today, of course, with the Hawks, and now the Knicks getting a new PG in Cardiac Kemba. As always, Avery Johnson, appreciate you breaking on the breaking news here with Kemba heading back home to NY. So it's been a long time coming. We all remember the shot at Madison Square Garden back in UConn. That was almost 10 years ago. Since then, he's been in the league, Charlotte, Boston, a chunk of times here going into the postseason. Averaged just over 19 points last season, but was traded to OKC. Of course, didn't suit up for them. But now heading to MSG, where he's averaged just over 21 points in his career when playing there. It'll be a little different in 2021. As he'll be on part of that home team, and also see how he pairs up with Derrick Rose and Tom Thibodeau in the Eastern Conference. Of course, keep it locked here at CBS Sports HQ. More news after this.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.